I've changed my mind on loads of things in regards to West Ham. The signing of Emerson, the signing of Danny Ings for two different reasons, obviously. Pablo Finals, the fact that Aaron Creswell's still at the football club today. My view on those four subjects has altered over time. There's some things I've yet to change my mind about. I might do, I might not, who knows? But I still think Mohamed Kudus is a superb bit of business for West Ham. I still think Jared Bowen is our most important player. I still think a pint's expensive at the London Stadium. There's even some subjects I'm yet to make my mind up about. I don't feel strongly about it one way or another. Do I want to see Fabianski at West Ham next season? I don't know. Ask me in May. Do I think Jared Bowen will cut it as the number one striker at West Ham? Need to see more, hopefully, but I haven't seen enough one way or another. Do I think Mubama will even make it at West Ham? Again, hopefully, need to see more. But I'm not afraid to change my mind. In fact, I think it's a wonderful ability for anybody to have, to change your mind about something. It's a strong thing to do. But I think it's important. When you get new information, when you get new data, reevaluate, change your mind if you have to, but likewise, if you don't want to change your mind, don't. Whatever you feel or think and you're honest about, that is good. That's the way to go, in my opinion. But what about David Moyes? Has my opinion regarding David Moyes changed at all? That's what we're going to be discussing today, and it's because of an email we got from James. Earlier in the week I said send in your video topics because it's the winter break, we will cover them. James sent an email and he said, "Hey Gio, for a topic, I wondered if we could have a video about your stance on David Moyes and if you are Moyes in or Moyes out." I am still Moyes out and have been for over a year. I think a new contract would be the worst thing the club could do, as I really don't enjoy his football and I would like to see Tim Steiding given the chance to bring in his own man. He then left a nice comment. So thank you very much, James, for, well, first of all, the kind words, the email and the topic suggestion. Now, before we get into my stance on David Moyes, please do subscribe if you're new around here, and also drop a like on the video if you enjoy it by clicking the thumbs up. Helps out the video, helps out the channel, makes me happy. Now, this video will be my opinion. Sometimes when I create videos, I'll talk about what I want, what I predict, and what I think deserves to happen. And sometimes it can be three completely different things. So historically, previously, I perhaps said I think David Moyes deserves a new contract, and someone in the comments will say, well, get angry with me for wanting Moyes to get a new contract, even though I haven't stated I want Moyes to get a new contract. That's what I think he deserves to get. Two separate things. But this video, I'm going to forget what I predict and what I think deserves to happen. I'm forgetting that. This is about what I want to see happen. Now, without going all the way back to the start of Moyes' reign, I think it's important that we add a little bit of context on my stance thus far in regards to David Moyes, and also possibly changing my mind in regards to David Moyes. So we go back to 14 months ago, just before the World Cup. That's when I wanted Moyes gone, during the World Cup break. We played Crystal Palace or Leicester. We played them both back to back just before the World Cup, and I can't remember whichever one was first. That's when I thought, I think I want Moyes gone. Then we played the other team and went into World Cup break, but I wanted Moyes gone in the World Cup break. I felt it was a fantastic opportunity for the club to get someone else in and give them a mini pre-season. New manager would have a few weeks with the players on the training ground before the Premier League resumed. The winter transfer window was just round the corner as well, obviously an advantage for the new manager, but just felt it was such a rare and fantastic opportunity for any club to change their manager if they wished. And the season so far had been horrific. Paqueta was ineffective. The football was dire. We were in a relegation battle. I wasn't enjoying it whatsoever, and I felt that the time had come to dismiss David Moyes and get someone else in during the World Cup break. So I changed my mind then. I say changed my mind. That's when I wanted Moyes sacked. That's when I made up my mind, I guess. In February, though, I did change my mind. I didn't want to sack David Moyes anymore, and there was sort of two reasons for it. One, the alternatives. We were linked with the likes of Rafa Benitez. I really didn't want to. I was never, and I've never been, and I still amn't, at the point of anyone but David Moyes. I've never been at that point of sack Moyes, just get anybody in. I've never been there. I appreciate some of you have been, and I get it. You don't have to explain it to me. I get it. But I've never been there, and it would take something drastic to get to that point. I've never ever desired to see Rafa Benitez take over from David Moyes. But back in February time, I'm using that time loosely, that's who we were being linked with, and I just didn't desire to see any of those over him. Is there other managers I'd prefer to David Moyes? Of course there is. But did I have confidence in David Sullivan identifying and bringing them into the club? Absolutely not. Bearing in mind, when we sacked Pellegrini, we had to go back to David Moyes. We had to go get the man we've just told not long ago, we don't want you, you're not good enough for us long term. We had to go back to him and beg him to come back to West Ham because Sullivan couldn't acquire a different manager to take over from Pellegrini. So my confidence in Sullivan is non-existent in terms of making a managerial appointment. So that came into place. I didn't want him sacked for that reason. And the second reason, and this is where I'm hoping the subscribers from a year ago will be able to back me up on this a little bit. If we were to employ a new manager then, what would his role be? What would the job be? What would we want him to do to keep us in the Premier League and to win the Conference League? That would have been his job spec. Well, I was confident Moyes could do that. I was confident we'd win the Conference League and I was confident we'd stay up. The only time I thought we'd get relegated was after we got smashed by Newcastle. That's the only time. A couple of days after that game, I thought there's a chance we're going to go down here. I always felt we'd win the Conference League. But I think that says more about the competition rather than David Moyes. But my point was, anyone we brought in, that would be the job spec, and I thought Moyes could do that. So I changed my mind in February. However, there's an asterisk there. I wanted him to go at the end of the season, even in February. Let's just keep him till the end of the season. So we won the Conference League, and I thought that was the right time. That was the right time to move on from David Moyes. Say, thank you very much for everything. You've done wonderfully well. Off you go. We're going to go down a different route now. I naively hoped there'd be a change of ownership. Obviously, that turned out not to be the case, but I'm going back to tell you what my views were back in June time. But regardless of whether Sullivan went or not, we were employing Tim Steidten, which is a new role for us, and also Declan Rice was leaving. So there was already big changes at the football club. Even if Sullivan stayed, there was already big changes. So I felt like that was a good opportunity, a bit like the World Cup. I think the World Cup presented a good opportunity to change the manager. I think Steidten arriving at the club and Declan Rice leaving presented a good opportunity to change the manager again. But nevertheless, it was very obvious very quickly Moyes was going to get the season we're in now. He's going to get to see out his contract. So in the June time, that's when I decided I'm just going to push the reset button here, because regardless of what I want, which was Moyes to go, he wasn't going. So I could sit here all season upset the fact that Moyes hadn't gone, or I could just try and enjoy the season for what it is and push the reset button, not just for Moyes, but Thomas Souček. I think Souček had been poor previously but hindered by Declan Rice, so push the reset button. Let's have a look at Souček this season without Declan next to him. And today my opinion hasn't changed since June. I don't want him sacked. I don't want Moyes sacked today. I don't want him. I've never wanted him sacked this season. I don't want him sacked today, but I don't want him to get him a new contract. My opinion has been the same since June, and to be fair, my view changed in June because it was forced upon me by the club, by David Sullivan, by not sacking David Moyes. Arguably, my opinion hasn't changed since a year ago in February, which is let's go through to the end of the season and let Moyes go then. Okay, it didn't happen. Well, let's just go through to the end of this season and let him go. So am I Moyes in and Moyes out? Well, I say neither. It depends on what you think those phrases mean, I guess. To me, Moyes out means sack him now. That's what I think Moyes out means. That's how I take it. But that's not me. Moyes in would be to give him a new contract. That's not me either. It is, as it stands, to let him remain as manager till the end of the season, and then we bring in someone new in the summer. Now, I might change my mind. We could lose the next 10 games and I might say, actually, I think we should sack him now. I reserve the right to change my mind. Likewise, we could go on and win the Europa League, and in summer I might think, actually, I'd like to see him get a new contract. But today, where we are today, I don't want him sacked and I don't want him to get a new contract. Let me make that very clear. Because there's been a phrase that's appeared on the channel in the last month or so. It's a new thing. Some people say, oh, flip-flop, that's a new phrase. I've never seen it before, ever, in the comments on YouTube. Never have I seen it. Flip-flop. Now, again, I could be picking up the phrase incorrectly, but I assume it means you change your mind, right? I assume that's what it means, that you change your mind quite often. But I always reply to them and say, can you explain what you mean? Not one person has replied. Anyone that says flip-flop, and I say, what do you mean by that? Not one person has replied to state why they're using that phrase, because I don't get it. I generally don't get it. But I assume it means I've changed my mind a lot on David Moyes. I haven't. I've still got the same stance as June. I don't want to see him sacked. I've not once called for him to be sacked this season. Again, something else you often get. We'll win a game. When we beat Arsenal, there's people in the comments saying, do you still want him sacked? I've not once wanted him sacked. You're just making stuff up now. Likewise, if we lose games, there'll be people that are in the comments going, Still want Moyes to get a new deal? I'm not once wanting Moyes to get a new deal. I don't know why. People just make stuff up a little bit. So from now on, I think whenever someone makes something up like that, I'm just going to reply with the opposite. So if they are angry that I want Moyes to stay, I'm going to reply and say, I can't believe you want to get him a new contract. Obviously they don't. I'm just making stuff up, but as are they, in my opinion. Maybe the only reason I can understand is why people should use that term is because sometimes I have a pro opinion on Moyes and sometimes I have a negative opinion on Moyes because I'm evaluating it game by game. Sometimes we'll do a match review and someone will almost be like, well, you've changed your mind about Moyes. No, I'm talking about the game, literally that one match. So of course I'm going to criticise Moyes after the Bristol City game, to some extent after the Brighton game, against Liverpool, the Liverpool game. Of course I am. But at the same time, of course, I'm going to credit him when we beat Man United and Arsenal. Yes, I am going to credit the manager because I guess it depends on what you believe and stuff. But there's always been rumours. We go back to when we beat Freiburg and Wolves. The rumours come out Heitinga took the team. He was the one responsible for the results. Well, I just don't believe it, though. I don't buy it. If you do, that's okay. That's up to you. You evaluate. I go back to the very start of the video. You pick up your own information and data and you make your own evaluations and draw your own opinions. And if you believe that, that's all right. I'm not saying you're wrong. I don't know, factually. I don't know. I just don't believe it. Because for it to happen, I'm going to pick up these two games in particular for reasons. I've discussed it before. I'm going to discuss it again. There was that talk that Heitinga was in charge of the Freiburg and the Wolves. We played pretty well. We won both games comfortably. It was good. And it was, Heitinga's tactics. Well, I struggle to believe it because, first of all, you need all these things to happen. Heitinga would have to agree to stab his manager in the back, essentially. David Moyes would have to step aside and let Johnny Heitinga take charge of training, tactics in the game, which is not going to happen. There was one, I'm not going to call out any subscribers by name, but one guy in particular said it was all Heitinga. The next day in a video, I promise you this, the next day in the comments, he called David Moyes the most stubborn man known or something like that. Hang on a minute. So you've just alluded to the fact a day ago that he stepped aside and let his assistant take over the tactics and we won the game. But 24 hours later, you're now calling him the most stubborn man you've ever known. Both can't be true. But anyway, regardless, Moyes would have had to step aside. Heitinga would have to agree to either stab his manager in the back or to take over. But not even that, even looking at the logistics of it, we shut the training ground Monday, Tuesday. We got smashed by Fulham. We shut the training ground for 2 days because of the illness. So we had training on Wednesday. I haven't played on Thursday. So in one day, apparently, Heitinga came in and changed everything. I don't think we did. I think it was just a case of we continued to play the same tactics. It's just that the opponents suited us better. They came on to us a bit more, which allowed us to play counter-attacking football. And we performed better. Kudus, Bo and Paqueta were all in form and have continued to be in form. So when we go and beat Man United, it doesn't surprise me. It suits us better. That's why I was worried about the Bristol City game. Because A, Kudus was missing, but also B, they were probably going to be able to sit back a little bit. What were you going to do about it? I'm not confident on us breaking down sides with that. We're relying on individual brilliance a little bit. But my point is, I will praise Moyes for Freiburg and Wolves because I think he got it right. And I will criticise him when I think he gets it wrong. I evaluate games. I speak about Moyes on a game-by-game basis, just like I do with players. There might be a game, I'm trying to think of a player up and down in form. Paqueta, he was poor for a couple of games and he's come back and he's magic again. He'll be poor again in the future. He'll be magic again. When he's had a poor game, I'll say, I think he had a poor game. When he has a good game, I'll say, I think he had a good game. It's not actually a complicated or difficult concept when it comes to the way that we create videos. I just give my honest opinion. My honest opinion in regards to Moyes is he gets some things right and he gets some things wrong. I don't enjoy his football. I don't enjoy it. I've said continuously for the last month or two when there was talk about who was possibly replacing him or he was going to move on. When that speculation came out about how the board were monitoring the next two games very carefully. Then we won them both. Nice one, board. But anyway, in terms of replacing David Moyes in regards to entertainment, how we play football, getting a more attacking manager in, I don't think it's difficult. I don't. I think you'd be able to go get that man easily enough. But in regards to replicating the results David Moyes brings, I think it would be difficult to go out and get a manager that would have a 6 in the league at present. It's not an easy thing to do. But to go get someone that can go do both of those things, That's difficult. It's going to be a very difficult appointment to make, to get somebody that brings the same results that Moyes has. I know we're in a relegation battle last season, but 6th, 7th, winning a cup, and I know what the comeback is going to be already. It was a Mickey Mouse. He still won it. He still won the trophy, and I loved winning it. I don't care. I wanted to win it. We won it. I'm bloody glad we have. But we're 6th presently. His results have been good. Today, at this point, asterisk, reserve the right to change my mind. Today, I feel that we've possibly outgrown David Moyes' football. And it's because of David Moyes. A bit like Ben Rama. I think we signed Ben Rama at the right time. We've outgrown Ben Rama, and it's the right time for him to move on. And I'm a bit like that with David Moyes. We needed Moyes at the time. I didn't want him back at the time. He came in, he's brought stability to the club, he's brought European football. It's been a wonderful time under Moyes in regards to making some memories. I've made more memories under Moyes than I have any other manager in my lifetime. But we've got to the point now where we've got better players. When he came to this club, we didn't have the players that we do today. And it's because of Moyes we've got them. And I know someone's going to say, he wasn't responsible for signing this player. I'm not saying Moyes went and identified all these players and brought them in. But Moyes is the manager at the club when we have signed Lucas Paqueta, when we have signed Mohamed Kudus. Is he the manager to go forward and play better football? Probably not. But is he the manager to yield results? Possibly. So today, my stance, just to finalise this, I'll check my notes in a second. To finalise this, I don't want Moyes sacked, but don't want him to get a new contract. My opinion hasn't changed for quite a considerable amount of time, really, which is long term. I'm not sure about him. I don't want him here, but I do think he's going to be very, very difficult to replace in terms of results and playing better football. Now, let me just double check. The reasons for keeping him, I haven't actually stated why I don't want him sacked. Because I want to give the club as much time as possible to identify his successor. It would be a successor, not a replacement. A replacement is just that, a replacement. A successor is someone that builds on what you've done. That's what we're looking for. Somebody that can take advantage of what David Moyes has done and move on as a football club. And when I say move on, by the way, I don't necessarily mean up the league. It's going to be very difficult. I'm not sure we can. But what we can do is play more entertaining football and replicate the results. Find someone that can give us a chance of European football, but entertain us on a weekly basis. And it's not all been dire under David Moyes. There's been some games this season I've enjoyed, but they're few and far between. And I think you get a reminder at times. I think we've had one this week, or I've had one this week, when you see no Kudus, Paqueta and Bowen. My confidence in us getting much out of these games has declined rapidly. My desire to see us play has just gone back quite a lot. I know people that aren't going to renew their season ticket next season if Moyes stays here. I get it. They don't need to convince me as to why. I get it. To be fair, my personal circumstances come into this in the sense that I can't really afford it. I went to Sheffield United. It cost me like £500-600 to go to that bloody game because of this train strikes. But I can't afford to go to the games at the minute. But there is a part of that, a part of the factor is it's not that enjoyable. It is a bit of a chore sometimes to go watch this football, which when you've got millions to spend like we do, and we've got players like Kudus and Paqueta, it shouldn't really be the case. So anyway, there you go. That's my stance on David Moyes. If anyone has any questions in regards to my stance on David Moyes, please email us, hammerschat@gmail.com. We're covering all your topics you send in, or leave in the comments. I'll interact with you in the comments as well, the polite ones, not the ones that are rude, not those ones, and not the ones that say flip-flop, because I'll be replying, asking why you want David Moyes to stay. Anyway, hopefully that's cleared it all up. My stance hasn't changed, but asterisks, it might do, because I think changing your mind is a very powerful thing. If you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it by clicking the thumbs up. Subscribe to Hammer's Chat. Catch up with you tomorrow with... actually, we've got a guest on the channel tomorrow. I was ready to say whether another one of your topics might be, but we do have a guest. I'll catch you then.